Wisconsin Eye's 2014 election coverage is brought to you by the Wisconsin Hospital Association. For over 90 years, a valued voice for Wisconsin hospitals, supporting high-quality, high-value care in communities like yours.
Wisconsin Eye is in Wausau at Northcentral Technical College interviewing candidates for the 2014 elections. We're interviewing Mr. Mel Pittman of Plum City. He's a Republican candidate for the 31st Senate District. Mr. Pittman, welcome to Wisconsin Eye.
Thank you, Steve, and I appreciate the opportunity to meet with you today.
Thank you, sir. A programming note, Wisconsin Eye appreciates the support of the Wisconsin Hospital Association, which represents more than 139 hospitals and health systems, for making these candidate interviews possible. Mr. Pittman, this is your first run for the Capitol, right?
Yes, it is, for state elected office.
Give us a short bio then, and any specific reasons why you opted to get into the Senate race, sir.
Well, Steve, I'm a family man. I've been married to my wife, Patricia, for 38 years. We have 3 children, 2 grandchildren. I'm interested in running because I'm concerned about the future along with everyone else's children in this state. And we need to take proactive steps to get the best environment for them. I'm also a dairy farmer. I've been doing that for 38 years. We focused on quality and efficiency on our dairy operation. And that's led us to produce very high quality milk, which makes us more profitable as an operation than many other dairy farms. I've also been involved in many other dairy boards and committees along the way. State Farm Bureau Dairy Committee, I chaired that committee for 2 years. Been on the UW River Falls Ag Advisory Committee up there for 5 years. I served as the executive chairman for Farm Technology Days, when we hosted that in Pierce County in 2010. That's a show where it takes about 1,200 volunteers to host that, and that's the largest outdoor agricultural show there is in the state of Wisconsin. And for the last 10 years, I've served on county board in Pierce County. My last term, 2-year period, I served as the state president of the Wisconsin Associated County Extension Committees while serving on county board.
Thank you. As you know, I asked some specific questions about issues. Let's start with some school issues. A major decision in the next budget, sir, as I'm sure you're aware, will be whether to continue the expansion of school choice statewide. Your position on that?
I believe school choice is important for parents to have. The voucher system, I think, will work quite well. We need some competitive action in our education system, and I think that brings this to the table. However, my concern is that I'm not necessarily, I would like to see a gradual transition into more vouchers or school choice availability, not to pull the rug out from underneath our public institutions.
Well, there's currently a limit on outstate number of students that can be in choice of 1,000 statewide. What do you think the limit should be in the next budget, Mr. Pittman?
I'm not sure what the right number is, but like I said, more of a gradual transition, maybe doubling it or tripling it or something along that line, but we need to be concerned that the taxpayers aren't left holding the bag on the public schools if the enrollment numbers drop considerably, because those other students that are going there will still need some type of education too.
And then last week the governor asked that the Common Core standards that Wisconsin withdraw from the Common Core standards and that Wisconsin write its own standards. Your reaction to that, sir?
Local control, I think, is the best means by which we can do a good job for our schools. And that means, yes, I'm opposed to Common Core standards and our government, state and federal government's overreaching authority as far as what we need to teach in our local schools. And I also believe the Common Core does not really benefit the students in a way that we can, many of the students that have the ability to take advanced classes and training, they would be limited in that category. So those are reasons why I would oppose Common Core.
Pierce County, and of course you dairy farmers, rely on good roads to get your product to market, which transportation funding is the issue. There's a projected $650 million shortfall in the next 2-year budget for the Department of Transportation. Would you put a hold on some of these major projects? Would you raise taxes, or do you have a different idea, sir?
I think all those have to be on the table for evaluation. But I do know that good infrastructure is important, whether you're talking agriculture, other businesses. We need to have a good highway system. And I am well aware of the shortfall in the transportation budget. So that kind of puts almost everything on the table as far as how we're going to deal with this. I think that we need to find funds and revenue that will get us in better shape as far as our infrastructure. I've heard from agriculture, I've heard from other business owners where they said, you know, we need better roads. The roads are deteriorating fast. During my time on county board, we had issues with some of our local bridges failing prematurely, and you know, the option is either you repair or you build a new bridge or you close the road. And closing roads is not a very good option. So we'll be looking for sources of revenue to try to fix that shortfall.
So you're willing to consider potential increases in the gas tax or what you and I pay to register our vehicles, sir?
Those are possibilities that I would be looking at, yes.
Okay. In the area of healthcare, as you're aware, the federal government told all states, if you expand your MA healthcare to the low income, we'll pay for it for the first few years. Governor Walker and the leaders of the Senate and Assembly said no. Your reaction to that no?
I agree with the no. I think that's, there again, it's federal government overreaching their authority. And the other part of it is federal government doesn't have the funds to do this. You know, with their budget being very much in the deficit, I just don't think it's a good idea for them to keep extending and putting us deeper in a hole.
I've heard in the Capitol that the 31st Senate District may have more frac sand mines than in any other part of the state. Do you think we need more state control over those to write one standard for the state, or does local government writing those rules, is that enough?
I believe that local government is key as far as control, but there's some communities that seem to go overboard with that situation. So I'm cautiously approaching it with a situation where maybe some oversight might be necessary as far as highway uses and other situations where the local governments are overstepping their bounds. I believe there's a balance that we can achieve between frac sand mining. Saying no to frac sand mining completely is not the right answer, and just letting them go willy-nilly whichever way they want to is not the right answer either. I am concerned about our environment. I am concerned about what our 31st district would look like, you know, after we ravaged the land. So I'm kind of in the middle in that situation where I think we need to look at and do frac sand mining, but we need to do it in a responsible manner. Do it in an area where it's not going to, not in a populated area, so we're not exposing the people that live there into those situations. And the other part of it is, I believe it's a national security interest that we have frac sand mining go on, because if we're in a position now in the United States where we can supply most of our petroleum needs, and if we go the other direction, it's going to hurt us, our national economy considerably, and fuel prices are going to skyrocket.
Okay, I'm asking all candidates this. Your reaction to Judge Crabb's ruling on same-sex marriage, which is now being appealed by our Attorney General?
I believe that marriage is between a man and a woman. Thank you.
Okay. Two candidates for Attorney General say first offense drunken driving should be a crime. Do you have a position, sir?
There needs to be repercussions for first offense drunk driving. I'm not certain if it's a misdemeanor at this point or whatever, but there needs to be repercussions. People need to be responsible for their actions. And it's also a big safety issue. Someone that's drunken and driving down the road is a threat to the safety of everyone else that's on the highway with them. So there needs to be repercussions, and if it's as far as if it's a misdemeanor or whatever, and it's on their record, I guess that person needs to be thinking about that before they consume too much alcohol and get behind the wheel.
There are calls in Washington and Madison to raise the minimum wage. Do you have a position, sir?
I believe we need to pay people a wage that they deserve for the work they perform. The minimum wage might be all right for some people starting an entry-level job where it's at currently, but for example, we've hired employees to help us on our farm, and most of those employees have worked anywhere from $9 to $12 an hour, and still that's not even a living wage for most people. I would encourage more people to, instead of focusing on the minimum wage, let's try to get them in a better paying job so that they can do a better job taking care of their families.
As a member of the county board, what's been the impact of Act 10 on has it been good or bad for county government in Pierce County?
Act 10 was helpful at county government. Having served 10 years on there, I've seen what it was like prior to Act 10 and after Act 10. Of course, the employees didn't like it. I can understand that. I can empathize with that because they lost some benefits along the way. But in general, it was easier for us to make our budgets. We were able to keep the same number of employees. We didn't have to lay any off, and those were things that we really took seriously as far as how are we going to manage our budget for the upcoming years. I think it was a certain amount of fairness also by Act 10, where one of the things I noticed when I voted on my first contract approval at the county board level was. The employer was paying for the employer's share of the retirement fund, and then the employer was paying for the employee's share of their retirement fund. And I asked the question, why? Why are we paying for the employee's share? And the answer was, well, that's what was negotiated in the union contracts, and you have to usually give up something in order to get something back. We weren't in a position to give significant wage increases, so I think this was just an opportunity to get things back on a more even keel and have the employees pay their share of their retirement.
My impression of the 31st Senate District, Mr. Pittman, is that it's one of the most rural in the state of Wisconsin. You're a dairy farmer. Am I right in my impression that it's largely a rural district with all those issues, including funding of rural schools?
It is quite rural, except for the area of the city of Eau Claire. Actually, the city of Eau Claire makes up 1/3 of the district.
1/3, thank you.
So the rest of it is quite rural. School funding and public schools are a big concern, or I should say the lack of funding available to them. I think there's a number of options that we have to look at as far as our public schools, in addition to funding. How we're going to maintain them. Student numbers keep dropping precipitously. In Plum City, for example, when I graduated there in 1972, we were averaging about 36 students per class, and now it's down to about 16. It's less than half. How long can we continue with the amount of overhead we have and still pay the cost of educating these students in our local schools? That's a big question that needs to be answered.
Is it time for a new school aid formula that would give more resources to the rural schools who are so pinched?
I'm not fully up to speed on all those types of scenarios, so I'm not able to answer that directly, but I know that the rural and urban situation of school funding tends to be a big one, and that's very difficult to get any movement on that area too, because more of the legislators come from the urban areas, and so the rural ones seem to be in the minority there.
Okay, two final questions. Is there any other major issue that is key to your campaign I haven't asked about, sir?
Certainly. Skilled labor jobs that are available and aren't getting filled. That's one of the main campaign issues I'm running on. I want to work to get more incentives in place to help people get the training and education they need so that we can get these skilled labor jobs filled. That'll help our economy, it'll help our production, it'll help our tax base by getting more people working and get them off the sidelines. Some might be unemployed, some might be just sitting out there doing little or nothing, and if we can get them back working, that'll help all of us. And the other part is the broadband situation for our communities. Eau Claire probably is pretty well situated with broadband capabilities, but the rest of the district is not, and many other places in Wisconsin are not. And that's one I've been well aware of being on county board, and the fact that UW Extension is a big promoter also of broadband capabilities in our rural areas. And that means, first of all, attracting and keeping businesses in our local communities. And the other thing is it keeps more people living in our local communities. We talked about the brain drain many years ago over the past decade about people leaving the state of Wisconsin, young people, because of the work opportunities and other things that they couldn't find here. Well, the broadband issue is the same way. Many of those younger generation people want those capabilities of Wi-Fi services and whatnot, and if we can't provide that for them in our rural communities, they're not going to live there. They're going to go somewhere else, and our rural communities will continue to die.
And then finally, do you want to highlight any differences with your primary opponent on the August 12th primary, sir?
I would just say, in regards to why I'm running, and I'm running because I believe that I am a better candidate and that I can do a better job serving as their representative.
Very good. Mel Pittman of Plum City is a Republican candidate in the 31st Senate District. The primary is August 12th. Mr. Pittman, thanks for talking to Wisconsin Eye.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.